Hey everybody, yours truly, Miss Jazzy here. I'm super excited about the exclusive interview that's going down tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking with Miss Lawson Wetli about redistricting, gerrymandering, why should you care about it, what can you do about it, really just finding out what redistricting is and why we need to reform it. You don't want to miss it. We're going to hear all the details about it tonight. Also featuring our featured guest of the evening, Mr. Leo Jones, the Mr. Million Man March of Columbia, South Carolina that happened this past Sunday. Yours truly, Miss Jazzy, was on the scene, and it was such a phenomenal new era type of a movement. But now that the march has happened, what's next? What are they looking to do that thousands of people came to be a part of it? Well, we're going to find out from the visionary himself, Mr. Leo Jones, tonight. Also, the exclusive interview, once again, Miss Lawson Wetli. You don't want to miss it. It happens tonight on the JAZZY Report Facebook page, as well as the JAZZY Report YouTube channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with yours truly, Miss Jazzy. Well, hello, everybody. Listen, happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. Yours truly, Miss Jazzy here. I'm so excited about this exclusive interview that we're doing tonight, that we're going to be bringing some information to you that you can say you exclusively heard it right here on the JAZZY Report. So today has been a day full of really celebration of festivities, of really, I would say, not new to a lot of us, but on a national level, that Juneteenth has been exposed at a time when our country is kind of divided, but there's still some unity of things that's happening. So I definitely want to just congratulate those that are working in partnership, those that are in unity, that are trying to educate and really bring awareness to the real meaning of Juneteenth. And I was just thinking myself personally, I was like, did we learn about Juneteenth when I was in school? So I'm asking all of you that are watching tonight, did you learn about Juneteenth when you were in school? Listen, I'm taking an opportunity right now to encourage all of you to share this broadcast, because again, I have two phenomenal featured guests tonight that will share information that is going to be worthwhile. And I think it's definitely going to be something that you'll be like, maybe I didn't know that. And then we can find out what's coming up next. But again, I definitely just wanted to take an opportunity to say happy Juneteenth. Want to definitely look, can y'all see my shirt? I don't know. Can y'all see my shirt? Big shout out to Miss Rona Neely, who actually prepared this shirt for my business partner December and I. So we were able to rock our Juneteenth t-shirts today. So anybody else rock the gear? Anybody else rock some gear today for Juneteenth? Huh? Did y'all work it out? Or did you have on some Black Lives Matter shirt? I'm telling you. The empowerment that the people are really having to not only to just be educated, but to also support Black-owned businesses has been amazing. And I'm learning every day of new businesses and new ventures of what people are doing out here in the world, making a difference. I mean, when there's even a lot of the bad going on, there's still a lot of good that's intertwined with all of that. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just humbled to stand before you tonight to say, you know, we are celebrating Juneteenth at a level that I personally have never experienced before. And just to see all the different events, to see the festivities, the food, the barbecues, the music, you know, just really coming together. You know, they talk about there's two really freedom days. You have the 4th of July, but for us as a people, no more 4th, we have Juneteenth now, and we're going to continue to elevate and compound and really build on this date that people can really understand the significance of the freedom of slaves. That, I mean, look how long ago that was, but it's still, we're still seem like we're walking out some of those things, that there's a lot of slave mentality of folks that are experiencing today. But the fact that we are celebrating the freedom, Juneteenth is a powerful day. And I'm just so humbled and excited to be a part of, you know, even some things that happened here in the upstate today. I actually had a chance to go out and be a part of the community event that was held at the Peace Center, at the TD stage, at the amphitheater area. It was absolutely amazing. Freedom fighters upstate, along with the Black Lives Matter movement, along, I think it was, what was his name? Derek Cook. He was one of the coordinators that also assisted to bring the people together. They had free food. Big shout out to Big Norm barbecue. He was on the grill, hot dogs, hamburgers, pound cake, chips, juice, water, Gatorade, music. So it was such a phenomenal event. We allowed the rain to kind of go by, but again, we appreciate everybody that came out to be a part of that. So again, Tracy Fent, big shout out to you, Derek Quarles, Bruce Wilson, and again, the other gentleman they introduced today, his name also being Derek Cook. We appreciate you guys really just being, the spearheads of the event that took place today. And I'm just so excited that I got to be a part of it. Also had a chance to roll up on the empowerment zone where they had vendors, they had food as well. They had artists on deck. They were just live painting. The DJ was there. So it was just a lot of positive energy. Just an amazing time of folks just coming together, a lot of laughter. And so again, happy Juneteenth, everybody. But we're going to get ready to jump right in because tonight is an exclusive kind of interview that we're going to share some information. So you might want to grab your pad, grab your pen, so you can be able to say that you heard it first right here on the Jazz Report. So I definitely want to encourage again all of you to be sure to subscribe to our Jazz Report YouTube channel because this is actually streaming live on YouTube as well. But make sure you continue to follow us on the Jazz Report because you never know where we might be, what we have going on. But listen, we appreciate you so much. So again, our first featured guest of the evening, Ms. Lawson Wetli, is a longtime Greenvillian and a practicing attorney who is committed to social, legal, and economic justice. As a part of this commitment, she is the president of the League of Women Voters of Greenville County, the voter registration chair of the Greenville branch of the NAACP, and more. Her mission is to promote social, economic, and racial justice the best that she can as an individual through the groups that she's associated with, again, like the League of Women Voters as the president, and again, as I mentioned, the Greenville branch NAACP voter registration chair. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the live tonight for the exclusive interview, Miss Lawson Wetli. Lawson, good evening. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. I'm great. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Listen, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I think it's such an opportune time for us to really take an opportunity to allow you to share a lot of knowledge that you have. I know you and I met at the Women in Leadership meeting that was held a few months back, and you were speaking on something that really caught my attention, that you broke it down in a manner that helped me to understand. And I know there's probably people watching right now that really have no idea what redistricting is and what gerrymandering is.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you spoke so profoundly on that, and I know, but really our focus tonight is really, I want to talk about voting and the census and how it relates to really putting people in power too.
Right.
But I know you have a ton of information that you could share with folks, but helping us to understand with this exclusive interview, touch on redistricting, touch on gerrymandering just a little bit, however you want to be able to share. But I want to give you the platform tonight for this time to share with all of those that are watching with us right now.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's absolutely my pleasure to be here. That, I feel like, and the things that have been happening in 2020 so far have really underlined, obviously, the distance between the way the world should be and the way the world is, and I so appreciate you. And, I feel like there's a bunch of people who are trying to make the difference that we can. Yep. And so for me, I so deeply believe each of us has, the power that we have available to us through our voice, through our vote, through all kinds of actions we can take. And my mission is to, to the extent that I have information about that, I want to try to get the word out so everybody can embrace their own power. And when you said, that redistricting, it sort of sounded, when you first heard it and, it's kind of like, wait, what's that? Well, it was the same for me too, by the way. So I first started working on redistricting when I joined the League of Women Voters. They assigned me to that committee. Like, it wasn't even me choosing it. I got voluntold, to do it. Right. And I thought it was going to be complicated. It sounded to me like I'm not really a mathy person. It sounded to me like it might be complicated and confusing. But the thing that I found is the basics of it are really not that hard to understand. And the essence of this to me is like, why is gerrymandering a problem? It's a problem because it's one of the ways that our votes get suppressed. Because when there's gerrymandering, which is drawing district lines to try to put some voters in some districts, some voters in other districts, to sort of put your thumb on the scale of, which voters are in which district and who gets elected, that's one way of suppressing people's votes, because when you're in a gerrymandered district, your vote doesn't count as much. So I'm going to do just a little bit about the basics of it. So all of us know we live in political districts. So like I live in a particular county council district. I live in a particular U.S. Congress district. And that's just the district lines are the lines that limit who gets to elect which representative. So like my U.S. House district is South Carolina 4, the seat that's currently held by William Temple. The thing that should be true, it should be true that when we have districts, it's done fairly and it's done in a way where voters are going to be in the driver's seat who gets elected. Because when voters are in the driver's seat, those politicians have to listen to us. Our vote is going to matter. And if you think about it, so district lines get drawn every 10 years right after the census, which, as I know, is one of the many reasons why the census is so important. But once we get that census data in, those district lines get redrawn. And the people who are drawing the district lines, which is going to happen next year in 2021 after the 2020 census results, people who are going to draw those lines in South Carolina are the state legislators, the exact same people who benefit or lose depending on how the district lines are drawn. Right. So it's like the fox is in the hen house is the easiest way to think of it. And just as an example of the way that this can make a difference, if you're a politician, you want to make it as easy as you can make it for yourself to get reelected. It's human nature. It's not even good versus evil. It's just, of course, that's what you want. You want to make it easy for yourself and your party to get elected. But if you're drawing those lines to try to make that happen, so let's say you're a Republican politician and it's in your interest to keep, Republicans in your district and Democrats out of it. If you draw those lines to fix that, you're going to make it easier for yourself to win, but you're not going to have any incentive to listen to any of your voters. None of them, right? Not the Democrats or the Republicans, because you're probably going to win no matter what. And that's the essence of the problem, is that with gerrymandering, drawing those lines to try to influence who's in and who's out of the district, you make it so easy, the politicians make it so easy for themselves to get reelected that nobody's vote really, people's votes count less, and people are going to have less power to say to their politicians, I want you to do this or else I won't vote for you. That's our leverage as voters, right? Is to say, I want you to do this or I won't vote for you. If they know they're going to get elected anyway, why should they listen? So, by the way, the difference, the thing that we can do as voters and as community members is keep an eye on the process, because next year that's going to be happening. And what we don't want to have happen is for those politicians to draw the lines in a way that helps them but hurts the voter. And so what we're asking everyone to do is keep your eyes on that particular prize, right? Shine the light into that room. So at least when they're drawing the district lines, there's some accountability and there's an incentive for them to, pay attention to what voters want. Because everybody, by the way, how in these days, it seems like everything is a partisan issue, like people split along partisan lines. Gerrymandering is not one of those issues. If you look at voters in general, all of us in South Carolina, a majority of voters, both Democrats and Republicans, want gerrymandering reform because it's in our best interest, right? It makes us as voters stronger. It makes our votes matter more.
Right. Well, and then we got to think about, as you were talking, I was thinking about when we think about the births and the deaths and those that are, gaining citizenship in our states, as far as how those numbers fluctuate, like this whole, even just the Census 2020 is so important that each and every person, every child, every boy, every girl, every man, every woman is accounted for, because, there's so much available funding that could get dumped, into our local communities based on those numbers. And also based on those numbers, that's how those lines actually get redrawn. And so I just wanted to be able to express the importance of, the campaign that you all spearhead as to what we can do and how we can actually make a difference, that people really understand the power of what we hold in helping to make this happen.
Absolutely. It's funny, knowing that we were going to be talking about the census a little bit today. I'm a big believer in figure out who the expert is and then ask her. So I called Sabrina Reeder earlier today, and she said to say hi, by the way.
Hey, Sabrina.
And for those who don't know, Sabrina Reeder is the head of the Greenville Complete Count Coalition. So she's is doing an amazing job of spearheading the census count efforts here in Greenville. And we were talking about the census, and for those who, because again, one thing I think, when you were talking, Stephanie, about people not having information, the thing that I think is life is really busy, right? It's like for all of us, we have our jobs and we have our families and there's just so much information. It's, I don't think there's any shame in the game of not starting out knowing all this stuff, right? But also this information is so important to our communities. And so, for example, with the census, South Carolina, based on the census count, which is just a count of every single person, not every citizen, it's every single person. And based on that census count, there is going to be over $7 billion in federal aid that will or will not right, come to South Carolina, depending on what our count is. And that's the money that goes to fund our libraries and our schools. That was the money recently when we had that funding related to COVID-19. That was based on the census count from 10 years ago. And the census count this year is what's going to dictate funding in South Carolina, federal funding for the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's important. And I want people to really understand that, because even as far as this whole redistricting, as far as the line, like that also happens every 10 years. And so I think it's important, Lawson, that we really drive it home, that people really understand how important, for them to actually participate really is. And there may be somebody that's watching right now. I know you are president of the League of Voters for Women. And so how can people definitely connect with you? Because again, I know we're just doing this little short exclusive interview where we're trying to give them a little bit of what they may be interested to learn more of. And maybe they want to invite you to come and maybe do another virtual training or just the info to be able to share, whether it's with their organization, with their church. How can they actually reach out to you directly, Lawson?
Thanks so much, Stephanie. So the League of Women Voters of Greenville County, we do have a website. You can go to mylwv.org and find the one for Greenville. We also have a Facebook page at Greenville LWV. And when I tell you, I would love nothing more than for anyone to reach out, to the organization, to reach out to me personally. For me personally, I can say this for the League as an organization. I can say this for the NAACP as an organization. What we want is to provide whatever resources and information we can to help people step into their civic power. Yeah. And, it's funny, I was just recently, last night, I was on a webinar for the NAACP, and it was talking about the NAACP slogan for voter registration and engagement this year, and it's vote. Our lives depend on it. And I think there has never been a more crucial year. And, my personal feeling is obviously voting isn't the only thing we can do, right? We can advocate in all kinds of ways and make our voice heard in all kinds of ways. Right. But there's nothing like that vote. And if it wasn't as important as it is, people would not be spending so much time and money trying to suppress it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I tell you, you've shared a ton of information. What would be your word of encouragement for someone as to what they could actually actively do right now concerning whether it's redistricting, gerrymandering, the census? What would be your final word of encouragement for someone that's watching tonight?
I think, so one thing I'm going to say is get in touch with your state legislators. And if you don't know who your state legislators are, because a lot of us don't, and again, no shame in that, go to find your legislator in South Carolina. Just Google, find your legislator, South Carolina, and contact them and say, you want redistricting reform. Just for them to know that you are watching and that you care, it makes more difference than you can possibly believe. Like these legislators, we feel like it's anonymous and like they kind of don't hear, they hear from tons of people and they're not going to listen to us. But at the local and state level, they don't actually hear from all that many people. Like I think that I was shocked, and I think others will be shocked, how much our voice matters. So get in touch with those legislators at the state level and just tell them, I support redistricting reform. I want voters to be choosing our politicians and not politicians choosing our voters.
So with that being said, because someone may have just chimed in, when you say that you would encourage us to contact our legislator and let them know that we support redistricting reform, what does that mean? What does that look like if you could break it down in ABC terms?
I would love to. So what we want, again, I mentioned that it's the politicians themselves who are going to draw the lines. And right now, they are permitted to draw the lines specifically to help themselves or their own party, which is crazy, right? Like that's not the way the rules should be. And so when we say we want redistricting reform, what we want is for the rules to be changed so that they're not allowed to do that, right? Which is to me, like, that's so basic. That's so obvious. But it's going to take, there's nobody but us. There's no, how like there's a lot of issues where businesses make money off it or they don't. So there's people out there lobbying. This is one of those issues where we, the citizens, we, the community, we, the voters, are the only people who can push for it. There's no money involved, right? If we don't do it, nobody will.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you so much. And so again, Lawson Wetli, it's been my pleasure and honor for you to share that tonight because, I want to continue to bring this type of information that we are educating people, empowering them, that they are in the know about what's happening and that they really understand how they could allow their voice to be heard. And, I got to say this, but even as you were talking and to know that you're part of the NAACP, the voter registration chair, and I'm like, but she's a white lady helping the Black organization. And so let me just say thank you. And so the fact that you would even have the passion to do that. And so I am just so humbled to know you in this lifetime. Again, happy Juneteenth, my sister from another mother. We'll definitely continue the dialogue. But again, I really appreciate you so much. And again, for someone that may want to reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
Yep. So if people, League of Women Voters, you can go to Facebook at Greenville LWV, or if you see my name on here, Lawson Wetli, my email address is lawsonwetli@gmail.com. And if I may give one shout out, which is the Greenville NAACP has an event tomorrow about the census. And so let me just mention that it will be at the Brockwood Senior Housing Center from noon to 2 p.m. And the first 50 participants to come fill out their census, and there will be people there to assist. The first 50% participants will receive a $10 Walmart card.
Oh, wow.
So $10 plus put your, get more funding for your community. It's a win-win.
All right. Well, listen, make sure you send me the details for that. Miss Jazzy might just show up and just do a pop-up live on site. I would love to be a part of that. But again, thank you, Lawson, so much. I really appreciate you sharing with us tonight those exclusive details. Until next time, you have a great rest of the evening, okay?
Thank you. You too. Right, appreciate it.
Lawson Wetli, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just give her a round of applause for joining us tonight. And as we've been talking again about Juneteenth, I want you to check out this video that's brought to you by the ABC television network.
Open a U.S. history book, and chances are its author will quickly point out January 1st, 1863, the date President Abraham Lincoln, with one proclamation, orders and declares that all persons held as slaves shall be free. What that same history book might fail to mention is what happened to these words once they arrived on the shores of Galveston, Texas, more than 2 years after Lincoln wrote them. In the 1860s, word didn't travel like it did now. And in 1865, months after General Robert E. Lee's surrender, word of the end of the Civil War had yet to hit the southern state and its 250,000 slaves. And then came General Gordon Granger's arrival in Galveston, June 19, 1865. And General Order Number 3, all slaves are free. Juneteenth was born. While Juneteenth celebrations continued to varying degrees in the U.S. for decades, it would take until 1980 for Texas to become the first state to to declare it a holiday. Today, 47 states recognize it and the District of Columbia. A chapter of our history, for far too long left out of the books designed to document it. But no longer. Juneteenth, or as the National Museum of African American History and Culture now calls it, our country's second Independence Day.
All right. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, happy Juneteenth for those of you that are tuning in for this exclusive interview with yours truly, Miss Jazzy. So again, big shout out to Miss Lawson Wetli that just joined us, talking about some really important information that many, like myself, when I first heard about it, I wasn't really on the up and up about it, but I'm glad that I've done a little research for myself. And so I hope that many of you that tuned in tonight will also do the same. But most importantly, you've been charged and challenged to reach out to your state legislator to, also remind them that you want them to support you want redistricting reform. And so again, we appreciate all of you on this Juneteenth Eve. And I hope that little short video that you just saw there, brought to you by ABC Television Network, kind of helped to break it down a little bit. Because I also posed the question early on, did you learn about Juneteenth when you were in school? Did you? Well, I tell you, this, for the first time, it seems like it's really on a national level, really been exposed for the world to be able to really understand the power of what this day really means for our Black American citizens as it relates to just the freedom of slaves. And so as we continue to learn more, to engage more, continue to have those dialogues, I want to take an opportunity to bring on our next featured guest, because there's so many things that are happening across our country. And the Million Man March Columbia just happened this past Sunday, and I was there. So again, Mr. Leo Jones, who is from Columbia, is the owner of Rome Media Group. He graduated from the University of South Carolina in Aiken with a Bachelor of Arts. He is fondly known as C Metro. He is an award-winning professional photographer, videographer, and creative director. He is the visionary of that phenomenal movement, Million Man March, SC. And so I wanted to bring him back tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the live Mr. Leo Jones, C Metro. What's up?
Jazzy, what's up?
Listen, man, what an amazing event. I'm so glad and humbled to have you to join us again tonight. But listen, I want to talk about the Million Man March that you were the visionary behind. Big shout out to you and your entire team, of just me physically being there, the energy, the crowd, the news media, just following you around throughout the day. I caught up to you first thing upon arrival. I got to meet your mom, and, I was chopping it up with you with all of your news interviews. And so now that the Million Man March has happened, I want to give you an opportunity to talk to the people. We just want to chop it up tonight with an exclusive, find out what's next, but also let's digress back and hear your thoughts from how you envision it and what actually took place.
Well, first and foremost, Jazzy, thank you again for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being there and driving all the way down here to Columbia. When I saw you, I was like, there goes Jazzy. There she go.
Yeah.
It made me happy to see you there, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
What we expected in the beginning wasn't what I couldn't put that in words.
Right.
I've seen all those people there, and everybody smiling. I think that was the first time that I've seen that many people in one space, and everything was peaceful. Almost everything, you could feel it in the air. It felt good. Scented cologne and perfume was in the air. It was just an amazing day. I really can't even explain it. That was one of the most peaceful days of my life, hands down. Yeah.
Well, and you looked, for me, capturing it really through my lens, the moment of just seeing you guys lock arms, when you was marching with that flag in your hand, this was like a modern day, new era type of a revolutionary movement. And like you said, to see that, the guys were suited up, the ladies dressed apart, there were a diverse crowd of folks that really came out to be a part of this. And, the speakers were phenomenal, the singers, the vendors, the food trucks. I mean, It was like we was having a big old family reunion. Like everybody came to the same house to hang out.
It was. We all family. And once we realized that we all family, black, white, Hispanic, once we realize that, then we can progress through the world and we can get through this. And I don't know, it was just an amazing day.
Look, I'm telling you, it was amazing. And I just wanted to really shine the light and give kudos to you. And I know you always talk about your team, but I'm telling you, the professionalism of what you guys did, of how you brought everybody together. I mean, even Sheriff Lott and the guys that volunteered to be a part of it, you know, they volunteered their time to come out and walk with the crowd. I mean, and just like you said, it was just so peaceful. I mean, just the atmosphere of everybody just showing up. And I'm gonna share this, and I'm gonna give you the floor a moment. I was able to donate blood today as I was, you know, preparing to test for the antibody test. And one thing the young lady Alyssa shared with me today, she said, you know, one thing about giving blood, that's something that we can all do. She said, for someone that needs this blood to save their life, they don't know who that blood is coming from. They don't know if it's coming from a white person or if it's coming from a black person. All they know is that they received blood that helped save their life. And one thing that I wanted to equate saying that tonight is that how we all came together for that march, regardless of what our skin color looked like. We all came together in that unity of a moment based on an idea that you had, and you guys executed and roll with it. And so I want to know what's next. I mean, now that the march has happened, though, I heard you mention kind of exclusively with me on the Jazzy Report that you guys were going to sponsor some folks to actually get their LLCs. So you can talk about that.
So what's next is that
but you also posted something that I want to find out if it's exclusive too now. So
yeah, okay, I will give it to you, Jazzy.
Okay.
So first and foremost, we're having a town hall meeting, just to recap with our community and get to see what our community needs and how we can help them. Because overnight we became the voice of our community.
Yeah.
So we really want to put them in a position so that their voices can be heard through us and see what we can do as a team to help them and their needs. So we're going to have people there speaking. So I think that's going to be very, very important. I can't really tell you much more about it, but check in on Monday. We have all that information based on the town hall meeting. Moving forward, we are planning events. I'm talking discreetly. So we are planning events to engage the community, but to further push the agendas of which we believe in. And ultimately, we believe in unity amongst our community, unity with Black people. And furthermore, in order for us to even think about fighting racism, we have to come together as a race and as a body of people. So we want to continue to have those events that instill Black joy into the community, while getting us to register to vote, while educating us on prison reform, while spreading that Black dollar, because Black dollars are important, so, and teaching us the importance of owning our own businesses, getting our own LLCs, just that. I believe if we focus on that area, we can ultimately make the world a better place within ourselves first before we attack the rest of the world.
Yeah. And one thing that was really impressive for me is, you guys being young millennials, I'm 45, but you said nobody on your team was over 35, like 34 and under. And so,
it was around 20. I think the youngest person on board had to be around Aisha, she was one of the youngest people, and I believe Aisha just turned 20.
Wow.
Which is scary.
Wow.
Scary how good she is, and how much energy she has, and how much spirit she has within her. She's only 20 years old. And I don't think the oldest person is 40.
Wow.
I don't think so.
Well, I tell you what, y'all came together as some masterminds and you put together a phenomenal event. And so again, people are always saying, well, we're doing this and we're doing that, but what happens after the fact? And I know that you guys have been strategizing, and like you said, you now kind of been catapulted in a position that you guys are going to be like the face and the voice for the people, that you know you can get people to come together. And the fact that, listen, the motorcycle clubs came through.
Miss Jazzy, now I saw that, right? I didn't know what it was. I think they coined themselves as the modern day Buffalo Soldiers, correct? Yeah. All right, so I saw them driving when we got to the park. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just passing through until I went on the news. They had a whole segment. I don't know where they came from. I don't believe it was from Columbia. And it's still...
Well, I saw some of their best at Spartanburg, South Carolina. So, I mean, there were people from all over. I mean, I met somebody from Miami, North Carolina, South Carolina.
I had a conversation with a guy. I said, man, where you from, man? He said, I'm from Ohio. Wow. I said, like, you flew down here from Ohio? He said, yeah. I said, oh, that's what's up.
That's what's up. That's why I said people from all across the world came to be a part of that. I mean, the thousands of people, and I don't know, and I know we didn't do it like a 1-by-1 head count, but there were a few thousand folks that came out to be a part of this event. And I'm just kind of gonna jump out there on the limb and say, because I saw you post, now this is exclusive, but I'm just gonna throw it out there and see if you're gonna answer. Are y'all planning a 1,000,000-man march in Charleston?
Right now, that's a rumor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely a rumor.
Okay. Well, if it happens, I know you'll let Miss Jazzy know, so I
will let you know. A lot of people have inboxed me about it, but it's just a rumor right now.
All right. Well, I mean, because you can always come to the upstate, up here to Greenville, Spartanburg area as well. I mean, we got a whole troop and tribe of folks that'll rally behind the vision and pull the people out too now. So I just wanted to chop it up with you tonight again, Leo. But again, I just wanted to really personally let you know how proud I am of you, as well as your team. You guys were rock solid on how you put together such a phenomenal event, which was really timely with everything that we have going on. And like you said, the one thing, and there may be somebody that's watching tonight, they don't understand why you did what you did with this 1,000,000-man march. Help them to understand again why and what drove you to saying, yeah, this is how we're going to do it and this is how we're going to dress the part.
So I just want to and I'm glad you asked that question so I can clear it up further to the masses. By no means did we dress up to comply to Caucasians. By no means did we dress up to say that if we dress this way, police won't kill us. That wasn't the purpose of the march at all. And I feel like that was the purpose of the march. If we ignorant on our part to even think like that. But we really wanted to do something for our community based on the iconography of the first event, first 1,000,000-man march, which was in Washington, D.C. 1995. Now, if you see these images of us getting hung, you see these images of us getting shot by the police, us getting beat up by the police. As a young male, that's all you see of yourself on TV. And the media controls the narrative, and ultimately the media tells us what we should eat. The media tells us what size we should be. The media tells us what's acceptable as far as occupations. But what happens when the media tells you who you are? And they're doing that unintentionally. But sometimes they do it intentionally. Right. 3 weeks before the march, we was at a protest, the I Can't Breathe protest. Asia and I spoke. We wasn't on board to speak. That wasn't our organization, but the crowd wanted us to speak, so we spoke. And we spoke in a positive light. And once we put those videos online, that's what it attracted a lot of attention. But what we also realized that when we got home, the news didn't cover any of the peaceful protesting. They only covered the riots. They only covered people getting hurt. They only covered people going to jail. They only covered people vandalizing police equipment. And to me, I thought, and I said, wow, across the world, this is the same narrative in the media. So the narrative in which we were trying to change wasn't the narrative of what we think black men are, or wasn't the narrative of cops killing us because we dress this way, that was never the narrative. But I can see how somebody could easily think that, right? But it never was the narrative. We are black, and we are black in different ways. We snag our clothes, we're black, that's part of our culture. When we wear a suit, we're black, that's part of our culture. So the narrative was to never change the perception of a black man. The narrative was to change the media's perception of what they consider a black man.
That's
right?
great.
So we did a little bit of research on the Million Man March, and I kind of jumped the gun, and I put the flyer out, and that's when my team came to my rescue. So again, to my team, this was the first time me beating my team was because of this event. So that's how I know it's love. That's how I know they really support me. That's how I know they really hear from me because they came in support for a young black man that was just doing something for himself. But they looked at it and they said, okay, cool. He needs to be on the team. I need to save this young man. I need to protect this young man. I need to pray over this young man to get him to the levels in which he needs to go. That's why I speak so highly of my team. So once that happened, we put it out. I seen these guys marching down the stairs with suits. I said, wow, that looks great. What if we can do that? So I put it out there, and I didn't know. This is a disclaimer. The event had nothing to do with the Nation of Islam, but the Nation of Islam owns the main Million Man March. We got a phone call from them. I was completely scared, but they gave us the blessings to go ahead and move forward with it. And at that point, my team and I knew that we had something that was bigger than what we could ever imagine. So just having those images of a black man and a black woman just all together, we could have wore basketball shorts. We could have wore a baseball tees. The point was that we needed to do something positive so we can have a clear mind, so we can have clear direction to where we need to go. So we strategically set that whole event up, my team and I. Everything was strategic. And that's why I think people are like, they don't understand that in order to make change, you have to have a plan. You have to move accordingly and you have to protect your people, right? So we had it to where we got to the march. We was already fully adorned, so that was a message itself, right? Yeah. So we got to the State House. We had speakers speak on prison reform. We had voter registration forms out there, and half of the people out there registered to vote. Which is a beautiful thing because we know that that's a problem within our community. We also had, this was one of my favorite parts, the Black Dollar was circulating for the whole duration of the program, and nobody even realized it. Right? You had food trucks that was out there. We didn't charge any food truck, but they all made, well, one made $1,500, one made $1,000. It was a lot of revenue. And I believe that we accumulated roughly $10,000 in revenue for those food trucks. But guess what we did, Jazz? Those $10,000 accumulated by a black business that day was granted that money from black people. And that's where it's at, because I feel like fighting racism is almost a fight that we've been fighting for a long time. It almost got to be other things we can fight for. You know, racism is going to be there, but it's almost like, Jazzy, how can we fight racism if we are not racist? It almost got to be a sense of accountability. If you think about it, if I'm racist, then it's my job to fight racism. Right? If I know somebody that's racist, it's my job to hold them accountable. Right? But if I'm black, it's my job to educate my people on how to get finances outside of the 9-to-5, or how to get them to vote, and educate them on prison reform after they serve 25 plus years and how to get them back in the community. Our job is not to fight racism. Our job is to elevate our community.
Listen, you have said a mouthful there. Mr. Leo Jones, C Metro himself, fondly known on Instagram. Listen, how can people reach out to you? Because again, they want to definitely follow you, find out what's next, you know, kind of keep dripping what other events you may have going on. But I know you'll keep Miss Jazzy informed. I'll make sure.
once we drop our other events, and just call me back. We can do this. Jazzy.
I'm there. Say no more. So how can people reach out to you?
Oh yeah, okay. Instagram is C Metro Jones. I believe Facebook is C Metro Jones also. So that's CMetroJones on both Facebook and Instagram. And just send me a DM. We can talk. We can converse. It's all good. It's all good.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us tonight for this exclusive interview. It's always my pleasure. I just wanted to let you guys know how proud I am of you. And I'll definitely stay plugged in. I'll stay connected. I might need to just be your exclusive on-site young lady that's always bringing the infomercials of what's happening. So we'll stay connected, okay? No, I love you guys. Make sure you send love to your entire team. But again, just know you guys did a phenomenal job, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Thanks, Ms. Jazz.
Thank you. Thank you for being a voice for the people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all come on and give a round of applause, Mr. Leo Jones. Again, big shout out again to his entire team for the whole Million Man March. We're going to get ready to get out of here. But listen, in case I don't see you guys over the weekend, I definitely want to give out a happy early Father's Day to all the men, all the fathers, all the hardworking men. Those of you that are great fathers to your children, just know that we honor, we salute you, and you deserve to be pampered and loved on this weekend. And so again, until next time, yours truly, Miss Jazzy, getting out of here. Definitely want to thank our exclusive featured guest tonight for the interviews, Miss Lawson Wetli, along with Mr. Leo Jones, C Metro himself. I'm Miss Jazzy. Until next time, you have a great rest of the evening, and happy Juneteenth, everybody.